Ladies on the Phone, Part 2. Moments after hanging up the phone, with Patillo, his list of do's and don'ts in my hand, I dialed Deborah's number, then paced as her phone rang. And when she whispered, "Hello," I blurted out, "I'm so excited you answered because I've been wanting to talk to you for years. I'm writing a book about your mother." "Huh?" she said. I didn't know that Deborah was nearly deaf. She relied heavily on lip reading and couldn't follow anyone who talked fast. I took a deep breath and tried again, forcing myself to sound out every syllable. "Hi, my name is Rebecca. How you doing?" she said, weary but warm. "I'm very excited to talk to you." "Mm-hmm," she said like she'd heard that line many times before. I told her again that I wanted to write a book about her mother and said I was surprised no one seemed to know anything about her, even though her cells were so important for science. Deborah sat silent for a long moment and then screamed, "That's right!" She giggled and started talking like we'd known each other for years. "Everything always just about the cells, and don't even worry about her name, and was Gila even a person? So hallelujah, I think a book would be great." This was not what I'd expected. I was afraid to say anything that might make her stop talking, so I simply said, "Great," and that was the last word I spoke until the end of our call. I didn't ask a single question, just took notes as fast as I could. Deborah crammed a lifetime of information into a manic and confusing 45 minutes that jumped without warning, and in no particular order, from the 1920s to the 1990s, from stories of her father to her grandfather, cousins, mother, and total strangers. "Nobody never said nothing," she told me. "I mean, where my mother's clothes at? Where my mother's shoes? I knew about her watch and ring, but it was stolen. And that was after my brother killed that boy." And she talked about a man that she didn't name, saying, "I didn't think it was fit for him to steal my mother's medical record and autopsy papers. He was in prison for 15 years in Alabama. Now he's saying John Hopkins killed my mother and then white doctors experimented on her because she was black." My nerve broke down, she said. "I just couldn't take it. My speech is coming back a little better. I almost had 2 strokes in 2 weeks because of all that stuff with my mother's cells." And then suddenly she was talking about her family history, saying something about the hospital for crazy Negroes, and her mother's great-grandfather having been a slave owner. "We all mixed, and one of my mother's sisters converted to Puerto Rican." Again and again she said, "I can't take it anymore." And who are we supposed to trust now? More than anything, she told me she wanted to learn about her mother and what her cells had done for science. She said people had been promising her information for decades and never delivering it. "I'm sick of it," she said. "You know what I really want? I want to know, what did my mother smell like? For all my life, I just don't know anything, not even the little common little things, like what color she liked. Did she like to dance? Did she breastfeed me? Lord, I'd like to know that, but nobody ever say nothing." She laughed and said, "I tell you one thing, the story's not over yet. You got your work cut out for you, girl. This thing's crazy enough for 3 books. Then someone walked through her front door, and Deborah yelled straight into the receiver, "Good morning. I got mail?" She sounded panicked by the idea of it. "Oh my God, oh no, mail." "Okay, Miss Rebecca," she said, "I gotta go. You call me Monday, promise?" "Okay, dear. God bless. Bye-bye." She hung up, and I sat stunned, receiver crooked in my neck, frantically scribbling notes I didn't understand, like brother equals murder, mail equals bad, man stole Henrietta's medical records, and hospital for Negro insane. And when I called Deborah back as promised, she sounded like a different person. Her voice was monotone, depressed, and slurred, like she was heavily sedated. "No interviews," she mumbled almost coherently. "You gotta go away. My brother said I should write my own book, but I ain't a writer. I'm sorry." I tried to speak, but she cut me off. "I can't talk to you no more. Only thing to do is convince the men." And she gave me 3 phone numbers: her father, her oldest brother Lawrence, and her brother David Jr.'s pager. "Everybody call him Sonny," she told me, and then hung up. I wouldn't hear her voice again for nearly a year. I started calling Deborah, her brothers, and her father daily, but they didn't answer. Finally, after several days of leaving messages, someone answered at Day's house. A young boy who didn't say hello, just breathed into the receiver, hip hop thumping in the background. When I asked for David, the boy said, "Yeah," and threw the phone down. "Go get Pop," he yelled, followed by a long pause. "It's important. Get Pop." No response. "Lady's on the phone," he yelled. "Come on." And the first boy breathed into the receiver again as the second boy picked up an extension, said hello. "Hi," I said. "Can I talk to David?" "Who's this?" he asked. "Rebecca," I said. He moved the phone away from his mouth and yelled, "Get Pop. Lady's on the phone about his wife's cells." Years later, I'd understand how a young boy could know why I was calling just from the sound of my voice. The only time white people called Day was when they wanted something having to do with HeLa cells. But at the time, I was confused. I figured I must have heard wrong. A woman picked up a receiver saying, "Hello, may I help you?" She was sharp, curt, like, "I do not have time for this." I told her I was hoping to talk to David, and she asked who was calling. "Rebecca," I said, afraid she'd hang up if I said anything more. "Just a moment," she sighed and lowered the phone. "Go take this to Dave," she told her child. "Tell him he got a long-distance call. Somebody named Rebecca calling about his wife's sales." The child grabbed the phone, pressed it to his ear, and ran for Day. Then there was a long silence. "Pop, get up," the kid whispered. "There's somebody about your wife." "What?" "Get up. There's somebody about your wife's sales." "What? Where?" "Wife cells on the phone. Get up." "Where her cells?" "Here," the boy said, handing Dave the phone. "Yeah?" "Hi. Is this David Lax?" "Yeah." I told him my name and started to explain why I was calling. Before I could say much, he let out a deep sigh. "Why now this?" He stumbled in a deep southern accent, his words slurred like he'd had trouble. "You got my wife's cells?" "Yeah," I said, thinking he was asking if I was calling about his wife's cells. "Yeah?" he said, suddenly bright alert. "You got my wife's cells? She know you talking?" "Yeah," I said, thinking he was asking if Deborah knew I was calling. "Well, so let my old lady cells talk to you and leave me alone," he snapped. "I had enough of you people." And then he hung up.